What do we have here? Apparently it's a TS346. This thing has been around for a while. Twosun has put these out for quite a while. Now normally it looks like this. Let's see if I can get it to focus. So that's how it is before you start messing with it and doing things to it. This side has some various sanding patterns and then heat anodizing. And then this side has my patented circle sanding with the black hole center. That's why I'm calling this one the Singularity. Because there's only one of them, for one thing. Another thing, it kind of looks like a black hole, which, if you're a science nerd, a black hole is a singularity. Quantum singularity? Some shit like that.
From the outside, you can't tell what is inside a black hole. You can throw television sets, diamond rings, or even your worst enemies into a black hole, and all the black hole will remember is the total mass, and the angular momentum, an electric charge.
Anyway, and then over here we have like a sun kind of thing going on. I don't know, man. Who knows? Sometimes suns rotate around black holes. And that has been your Science Minute with Pry Bar Knives. This thing is a big beast. What's the weight on this guy? Let's see. I think it's like 8 ounces. It feels like an 8-ounce knife. That's what it feels like. Let's find out. 7.5. We weren't that far off. All right. So it feels like 8 ounces. It's so big. Let's see. What's another big boy I have here? I don't have that many big boys. This is the XL Kershaw Natrix. And it looks, you know, a little smaller in comparison. And the Natrix is a pretty big boy. I think it's close to a 4-inch blade. So I think this one is probably close to a 4-inch blade too. Probably just a hair under is my guess. It is not a fidget monster at all. It's washers. It's not easy to open. You have to give it some oomph to get it open. Now you could loosen up everything, but then the blade's a little bit loose. But it's what do they call those? Not fiber washers. They're the metal kind. They are called phosphor bronze. Phosphor bronze washers are what this guy has. And you can polish them up a little bit like I've done, and it makes it a little better. I mean, I can open it pretty easy with the thumb. I can close it pretty easy, but it's not, you know, and it's nice and tight. And the lockup is super good. Also, it has a key that you can put in that locks it for good. Like, so you can't actually unlock it. You could do this, and the blade still won't move because that little pin will lock it in there. It's a threaded pin, like a little bolt, basically. But I don't have it. When I got it brand new, but it didn't come with that bolt. So you could probably just make your own. Go to the hardware store, look for metric bolts of that size, because I'm sure it's metric. Also, this one had an issue, and I think it's not uncommon with this particular model. The blade was striking the backspacer. They actually put a groove down the backspacer to ameliorate that problem, but this one was still hitting even with that groove, so I had to cut the groove deeper, and I ground out the blade strikes and resharpened it a little bit further in so that the blade now doesn't hit the backspacer. So that's kind of a pretty major defect. It had a little bump right here and a bump right here where it was striking those little standoffs that poke through the backspacer. Pocket clip is interesting, very high-tech. Very fancy looking, kind of like a spaceship. Pretty big billboarding here inside the little thumb fuller groove thing. It's a beast for sure. It fills the hand all the way and then some. And I guess this is supposed to be that's definitely a choke up position right there. And it has nice jimping for that purpose. This jimping kind of matches that jimping. That's kind of cool how the two jimpings are very similar. A little bit right there too. So I heat anodize this backspacer too. You can kind of see the kind of dark colors that are in it. Yeah, I think it's a pretty neat knife. It's not exactly my thing. I'm probably going to put this guy up on eBay or something because, I had fun anodizing it and putting some cool textures on it and stuff, but it's a little big and heavy for me. And I like them, flippity-do knives that can flip out and not need to be Chris Reeved out, That's what I call it when you have to kind of press hard to open a knife. It's called Chris Reeving it out. This guy is like that, or it's like the, what are those other ones? Spartan Harsey type deal. It actually kind of almost has an extra large, beefy Spartan Harsey feel to it to me a little bit. But I like it. I think it's a cool knife. I'm going to put it on eBay, and I'm not going to put the price low. And if it doesn't sell, I won't be sad or anything, just to have it in my collection, you know. But if someone else wants it and they like my modding job, then maybe they'll pay what I want for the Singularity here. Let's see. What else should we discuss about this lovely knife? It has a D-shaped pivot, so it's definitely easy to take apart in that regard. Now, there's a lot of bolts, and these are those like hollow tube type bolts that have a head on one end, so you have these long hollow bolts going through from this side and then the screws going to this side. So it's not that there's so many screws, or it's not that they're hard to get out or anything. They come out pretty easy, but there's a lot of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the blade stop there. The other weird thing is, I think this is why it has a problem with the blade strike on the backspacer. The backspacer itself is the blade stop when it closes. So as it closes, you can see a little mark right there. That little mark is where that part of the blade hits the backspacer and stops the blade. So if it isn't perfectly aligned and everything isn't perfect, it's able to go down too far into the body of the knife and hit the backspacer. They probably should have used a regular stop pin instead of the backspacer itself as a stop. That was not the smartest idea. It doesn't have a designer on it. If I find the designer, I'll put his name, his or her name up here above. This thing is definitely sharp now after I resharpened it, so you gotta not mess around with it. She's a Sharpie. Let's look at that interesting black hole anodizing there. Definitely a cool look. Be a great work knife, a great, you know, beater type knife. And I think I didn't even pay a huge amount of money for it. I think I paid like 65, 75 bucks for it, something like that. They were, and it's D2. That's one reason why it's a little bit cheaper. It's not, you know, M390 or one of the high-end steels. But I mean, D2 is a good steel, dude. If it's done right and it's coated like this to keep it from getting any rust spots on it, D2 is a great steel. So the TS436 with lots of cool anodizing and pretty, I don't know what you'd call it, I guess, texturing on it. And it is called the Singularity now because it's a singular piece. And if you want it, check eBay. It might be up there. It might be, might not. I don't know. I'll decide. Have a nice day.